I love Patrick Swayze from Roadhouse. He always says it gets worse before it gets better. And it did. Mm-hmm. It got very much worse. But I bring all of that up because I moved to a place where I had never been. I had never seen it until I got the job. And on the day I was moving there, my grandma passed away.
Oh my gosh.
She's wonderful, but she's in a place we all aspire to be one day now, so that's okay.
Absolutely.
Open up my hands, you open up my eyes, I let go. All I am is yours.
Welcome back to Spotlight with Britt, and my interview today is with Randall, and I'm going to pronounce your Haug.
It's a Haug.
Haug.
So how are you? How with a G on the
with
end.
a G.
Yeah.
Haug.
Yeah.
Yes. So I met Randall at C-Suite for Christ, Little Rock.
Yes.
And out in Alexander at the Summerwood Complex is a beautiful
Well, so is place. This office. I mean, I've been on a few podcasts, and this is the nicest one. So,
yay!
That's a shout out. Shout out to Spotlight with Britt.
So yeah, it has really evolved. We've got
I love it.
A bunch of new things, and kind of improving today with some different equipment.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can kind of switch up the background. So next time that you come back, we may have a different setting. Who knows?
I can't wait.
But yeah, so Randall, this how we start is you just tell me a little bit more about you, something I might not know. Introduce yourself to our listeners and our viewers, because we will have video on this as well.
Perfect.
So yeah, tell them who you are and what you do.
Yeah, hi, Randall Haug. I am an account executive for Lamar Advertising in Little Rock, Arkansas. But I am also an author on servant leadership, keynote speaker. I did several military leadership keynotes last year, and was super neat about that. Was they're having their highest recruiting rate that they've ever had. So.
That's awesome.
That they something must have worked.
Yeah,
because I spoke up there for an hour to a bunch of commanders and stuff like lieutenant colonels and stuff like that, and they sat and listened for the whole time. So I was doing something right. But I'm a dad. I am a husband to my wonderful wife Caitlin, and I hope she's going to try to come out when I'm speaking in June at C-Suite. She's going to try to come out so you guys can meet her. She deserves a medal. She deserves a Medal of Honor because she puts up with me day in and day out. So just super happy to be here. I met you. Gosh, I met you last year at one of my first C-Suite meetings, I think. Were you at the December one?
So I did not get to make the December one. I was there January, February, and March.
I was there January, so that must have been what it was.
Yes.
But, yeah, I'm a part of the Speakers Bureau for the C-Suite of Christ. Love Paul and Jeff and everybody, and so
I hated that I missed December when Paul came. I was
that was my first one, and gosh, such a great organization. Loved meeting you, and you've heard me speak a few times out at that, and so I apologize to all the listeners. I very much get into all of this stuff, so
no, it's totally cool.
Perfect, but no, I've got so much good to give. And this is my first book.
Yes.
It's not about me. The 7 Key Principles of Corporate America. I wrote that and published it with Streamline Books out of Kansas City, and that came out in 2022. And so my second book comes out later this year, and the title of it is hidden in this one.
Oh.
So I forecast for everything.
Okay.
So I've got 20 or 30 books on deck, and the title is a little Easter egg. The title for my next one is always in the one that's coming out.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Okay, nice to know.
Anybody that's listening, I'd love for you to, purchase a copy, and if you can find that, let Britt know, and I'd be happy to come back and give some signed copies to you to pass out to any of your followers. Or
that would be great.
Yes, it's not about me. It's not about the money.
It's not about you.
Yes, it doesn't. I've got that. I got that covered. So I just want to spread the joy.
So I will definitely put in the show notes some links for how to purchase your book.
Perfect.
So yeah, we can hopefully generate some sales there for you as well.
Oh, I'll just give it away.
Okay. Well, Yeah. So, and you said that you're a dad.
I am. So I married my wonderful wife, Caitlin, in December. And when I married her, I gained 3 humans in my house. So I have
Really?
I've got my stepkids, but they're mine. I treat them like mine.
Absolutely.
But the boy is 11, and the girl Audrey she actually turns 8 this coming Sunday. And so
Oh,
I know she's a sweetie. She's just like me, so she deserves a medal. So
that's okay. So look, there's already one similarity. You got married this past December?
in December of 22.
22. What
Yeah.
date?
December 3rd.
Okay, so I got married December 21st
Okay.
of 2024.
Oh, good.
So, and I gained 4 kids.
Wonderful.
So I have 2 girls and 2 boys. So they're 2 years apart.
Yeah.
The girls will be 15 and 13 this year.
Yeah.
And the boys will be 11 and 9.
Well, I had a younger brother growing up, and I remember. So my wife's birthday is December 9th. So December 3rd and December 9th is the most. Then Christmas. December's I didn't think.
December's the awesome.
December's the most expensive month of my life every year, and it keeps coming. So
you have all year to save.
Yes, right, and I have to. I remember calling my dad and saying, "Hey, you got any advice for raising a girl?" He said, "I had 2 boys. I can't help you." And I said, "I know I need some help." And he said, "Call your grandpa," because my dad has a sister. He said, "Call your grandpa, ask him."
Okay.
And I did, and he still he'll return my call when he's ready. So
that's good. That's good.
But no, my grandpa's actually in. I dedicated this first book to my parents, but gosh, my grandpa is my idol. My parents are too, but my grandpa started with the Santa Fe Railroad Company when he was 18 years old and retired there at 54 as like the senior director of accounting.
Wow.
And right before it became BNSF, so he wrote the retirement pension and then walked into the CEO's office and said, "I want this right now." And
wow.
He said, "Okay." And so he just turned 80 this year,
Oh.
and he is a 5'9" of awesomeness. He wears his moccasins and his robe in the morning and get out of his way.
Okay. Kind of like you.
Oh, yes.
We're ready.
Oh, yeah.
Move
Move
forward.
I'm on it.
Either jump on the train or get off.
That's, something like that.
No pun intended about the train. And your grandpa with the train.
That was good. No. We got to save it. You got to say it. He'll love that because he'll watch this and he'll say, "Oh my gosh, why would you do that?" But
that's great.
He's got a train room and everything.
But I mean, and that's really cool to speak to one place that you worked.
Yeah,
it must have been really amazing. And I mean, I'm sure that they have lots of good memories of when he was there.
Yeah. So I actually never worked at the railroad.
No, your grandpa.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
To be at one place.
Yes.
I mean,
he started in, so when he was at the railroad, the headquarters was in Topeka, Kansas. I was born in Topeka.
I was going to ask where you were born.
I was born in Topeka, and we moved to Maumelle when I was 5 in 1998 on my dad's birthday.
Wow.
And so I grew up having this affinity that you go where work will take you if it provides for a family.
Right.
And before that, I mean, my aunts and uncles and everybody are in Topeka, and so I'm a big Jayhawk fan, basketball only, because Razorbacks for football, because come on, Jayhawks, get it together.
Great.
Thank you. Don't tell my grandpa I said that if he's watching, but I remember so much about being there early on, but Arkansas is home. We're the best. The number 1 state to move to in 2024 was Arkansas.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
And
so
a lot of people are moving here and they haven't even been here.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
people are
buying houses sight unseen.
People are selling their homes in California.
Yeah.
For the same size house down here. They're selling their homes for $1 million there.
And they're moving
paying
here.
Cash for the house here, and then they get all the rivers and everything instead of flying all back in. So
yeah,
I'm just happy to be here.
And I'm just glad that they're finding the beauty of the natural state.
That's it.
Because, and so, okay, so you've mentioned several different scenarios of things that you've been through in your life right before we started the podcast too. But so the second part of this is to talk about something that you've overcome personally or professionally.
Absolutely.
And so that whatever that is to get you to where you are today.
Yeah.
I know it's hard with all of the different things that you've been through in your life to pick one.
I can tie a little bit of personal and professional into one story.
Okay.
And that's how this all kind of happened.
Let's do it. That sounds great.
So I was working for a Fortune 500 company in Maumelle and got promoted, moved to Lawton, Oklahoma. You know where that is?
No. Where is that in proximity to Oklahoma City?
An hour and a half southwest.
Okay.
So it's about 45 minutes from Texas, West Texas.
Okay.
And so, I mean, if you put a pin on Lawton, and there's about a 2-hour radius I was responsible for. A third of it in Texas, another third of it in the casino and oil field land, and the other third of it in the farming country. And so I took over a dumpster fire, which was great. No, it was. I'd rather take over something that has never seen success, because you can always build that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It always gets. I love Patrick Swayze from Roadhouse. He always says it gets worse before it gets better, and it did. Mm-hmm. It got very much worse. But I bring all of that up because I moved to a place where I had never been. I had never seen it until I got the job. And on the day I was moving there, my grandma passed away.
Oh my gosh.
She's wonderful, but she's in a place we all aspire to be one day now, so that's okay.
Absolutely.
All that being said was, because I told you the story about my parents moving down here, I thought, well, this is a great opportunity for me. I was seeing somebody at the time. It wasn't going well, so it was even more of an opportunity to go somewhere else.
Right.
And
start fresh.
That's it. And so I moved out there, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done because I didn't know what to do. I knew in hindsight how to start utilities, get out there, get your driver's license changed, get all of that stuff done. But everything where I was working at in Arkansas was buttoned up and pretty and polished.
Where was that?
That was a company we will just call a wonderful Fortune 500 company.
Fair enough.
They're great. I don't work there anymore. Work for a different Fortune 500 company now, but
okay.
they're a good company. Part of the reason I left was because I got married, and my 11-year-old has special needs, and his doctors are here. So
I got you.
They wanted me to move somewhere else, and it wasn't able or willing to do that at the time, and so we parted ways nicely.
Sure.
But with that being said, I moved out there, and it was hard. It was hard professionally, and it was hard personally because I never lived in Oklahoma. Nobody in my family had ever lived in Oklahoma.
Right.
I mean, my dad had lived in Wichita, Kansas before, but I mean, that was south of Topeka.
Sure.
So when I went up to go see my grandpa all the time, I would drive. That drive was closer to Topeka than it was to Maumelle, where my parents were.
Okay.
And so after my grandma passed away, I drove up and spent a weekend every 3 months with my grandpa and just absorbed all of the time with him. And it was wonderful. I wouldn't trade that for anything. That drive is terrible, but I wouldn't trade it for anything.
It was super rewarding when you got there.
Oh my gosh. He's the man. I mean, he would get his Members Mark ribs and have them ready in the oven when I got there. And I ate every single one of them except for the bones.
Love it.
So
grandmother that passed
yes.
was this grandfather that worked for the railroad's wife.
Yes.
Okay.
My grandparents were married for 54 years before my grandma passed away, and my parents are celebrating 33 years this year.
That's amazing.
I don't know the D word that ends, it has a D and all that. I don't know that. Hard comes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hard comes. But I tie all that back real quick to my current wife. I got promoted from Lawton and moved to Ward, like the Cabot, Austin Ward area.
Right.
And married the girl next door. I bought the house sight unseen during COVID,
uh-huh.
and I married the girl that lived right next to me.
Oh.
And so we were dating and wore out that grass in between the yards, and asked her to marry me, and we got married December 3rd of 2022. She deserves a medal.
Oh, that's so cute.
She's a sweetie.
That is so cute.
I hope she says the same when she watches this.
Oh,
I really do. I hope
gosh.
she does. But she deserves the whole world. I gave that the girl Audrey. I gave her a globe that had a snow globe that had the world in it, and I said, "The world is yours, but you have to take it." And I made her take it from my hand. So anyway, but all of that will tie it back to the Lawton is everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely.
Everything happens in this world for a reason. Life, I'm going to botch this quote, but it's going to be in my second book.
Okay.
Life can only be lived forward, but understood backwards. That's really powerful if you think about it.
Absolutely.
Everything happens for a reason. So I'm sure that you could look back on your life and think about all of the actions and inactions that you had and how it ties back to you finding your husband. Right?
Yeah.
And so when I moved there, I Googled the town and thought, what do I get to know? And it said it is the 7th most dangerous place in the United States for women because they go there and they disappear.
Lawton,
Oklahoma. Yeah. So very dangerous. It's geographically the midway point between Mexico and Chicago City. I'm sorry, Chicago and Mexico City. And so there's a bunch of nonsense that happens there that shouldn't at nighttime and drug abuse and stuff like that. I will say, to speak highly of Lawton, there's a wonderful restaurant there called the Back Porch. And because I don't want to make Lawton mad at me. So the restaurant's great. They just have a little trouble with any area, right? There's casinos in Oklahoma. There's a lot of oil fields. And so the crowd there's a little tough. But I was in Lawton and I managed a big hospital on Fort Sill there. So it was artillery base. And so I lived there for 2.5 years. My hearing is just wonderful after living there. So thank you for that. But I say all of that because in the moment, I thought I made the worst decision ever. Why did I take, I could have just waited and taken this promotion and been in Maumelle, but God doesn't put you in situations because he wants you to question. He puts you in those because he knows you're strong enough to overcome it. Right?
With him especially.
That's it. And so I look back now and thankful that he put me there just because it made me who I am today. But gosh, I remember my grandpa saying, "Hey, I'll come down and stay with you." I said, "You will not. I need to come see you." And we would go see my grandma every time, and I would take flowers to her grave. And so she was wonderful. But man,
54 years.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. You're younger than me.
How old do you think I am?
28. 20. Really?
Yeah.
I figured you were going to say that you were younger than that.
No.
30? Really?
Yeah.
32?
I'll be 32 in July.
Okay. July what?
July 2nd.
Okay. So the 13-year, well, soon to be 13-year-old, she'll be 13 on July the 12th.
Oh, good.
And then my husband's birthday is July 22nd. So good twos there.
I know.
July 2nd.
That's it.
All right.
We've got every 2 to celebrate in July. I don't celebrate mine. It's not about me. But I'll celebrate everybody else's.
Cool.
But you ever watch The Big Bang Theory?
Yeah.
I love that show. And when Leonard tells a story about, on my birthday every year, I mail my mom a card because she always says that was her accomplishment.
Yeah.
And so my mom is wonderful, but I always tell her, thanks for going through the hard that day for me.
Yeah.
It was a Friday. I won't say I remember, but I know because for getting passport stuff, you had to know what day. It was Friday, July 2nd of 93 was when I was born.
born on a Friday.
Good things come on Friday.
Yeah.
So, but to tie it back to Lawton, I overcame that hard at 25. And if you think about the generations of today, how many 25-year-olds they're not doing that without their mom's help.
Right.
Sorry, Gen Z.
And they're probably not even doing that.
Right.
Moving out of state for a job.
Everyone gave millennials a hard time, but we look pretty good now compared to the other ones. So, but anyway, that was a hard task. And on the last day, do you know John Gordon and Damon West? The energy bus, the coffee bean story.
Oh my gosh, no. Okay, I'm going to have to look this up when it's over.
The last day I was there, I was eating at the Back Porch. My buddy flew in, and I got a phone call from my coworker, and he said, "Hey, someone wants to talk to you," and it was Damon West. He was there. He said, "Hey, man, I heard you're a big fan," and I said, "Very much so." He said, "Well, I'm out at the football fields. You want to come say hi?" And I did, and we took a great, super down-to-earth guy. Spent a lot of time in jail, and learned a bunch. I won't tell his story for him. You got to go check it out. But he wrote about the coffee bean. And so he's a big-time, 3-time Wall Street Journal best-selling author. and I took a picture with him, and that picture led to I got a message from John Gordon on LinkedIn saying, "Hey man, do you want to visit about some stuff?" Found out it wasn't actually him; it was someone that worked for him.
Right. That's
my publisher in Kansas City. It was him. And so we had a couple conversations, and all I know is I've signed a contract to write a book with Streamline Books. And so I wrote that, and he's in my acknowledgments. Damon West is, and so I could text him right now, and he'd text me back by the end of the day. Super great guy, big time positivity, servant leader, and stuff like that. And gosh, if I became a fraction of what he was, because my work is wonderful. They allow me to do one of these every month. And so if I became a fraction of that, I would be a success. If I became a fraction of what my parents and my grandpa are, I'm happy.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you know, and every day, my last episode actually was entitled "Do Better."
Yeah.
And there was a guy that just recently passed away, actually a couple weeks ago. He was the nephew of a lady that used to go to my church, and his name was Dylan Eberly, and he owned an insurance agency in Sherwood. He was a very, very, he was a very Christian man.
Yeah.
And Shirley told me that the church was packed, like 300 people. He was 33. Leaves behind a wife. I believe her name is Caitlin.
Oh,
and
Joy.
A little girl she was not quite 2, I believe. But you know, each day that we're blessed to wake up, that's a huge blessing, right?
Yes.
And then that day, moment by moment, we have an opportunity to be better today than we were yesterday. Whatever capacity that may look like, you know, it's going to be different for each of us. But just putting forth that effort to look back on. Do you journal?
Oh yeah.
So see, that's something I'm in the process of starting that. I started and then I fell off, and then I started and then I fell off. So, okay, my devotional last night was start something, commit to it, and if you fall off, you know, you backslide, whatever. The next day you pick up, you persevere, and you have the end goal of hopefully, you know, the people that are listening to this are saved. And if they're not, they can definitely reach out to one of us and find out our story.
Oh yeah.
But you have to look at every day as a blessing, and there are so many blessings tied into that day.
Mm-hmm.
Even the smallest of ones, you know, contribute to our success and our happiness. And ultimately, I mean, that's what it's all about. And though, you know, like with Lawton, you know, even though you lost your grandmother the day that you moved.
Oh yeah.
I mean, look at, you know, everything that you persevered through and overcame to get you to that last day when you got to meet somebody that really, you know, was a huge impact for you.
Oh yeah.
And in turn led to you meeting Damon.
Yeah.
And now you're getting ready to roll out your second book soon.
I know.
And
it's crazy.
You know, so like you said, living forward but learning backward, is that right?
If you life has to be lived forward, but can be only understood backwards.
Okay, so I was really close.
You were. No, you're great.
And now when the new book comes out, I'm gonna. Is that your quote or is that someone else?
No, that is Soren. Oh, it's Karsgaard. The quote will be 100% correct in the second book.
Yeah.
But the way it's easiest for me to tell is that paraphrased way. But no, you're absolutely right. I mean, gosh, every single thing that you look back on can be tied together in some way. Think about, you know, Kevin Bacon's 6 degrees of separate. You know, he always says people are connected in some way, shape, or form in that way. And so if you think about it, there's some way you can connect everybody to something. At the very least, I'll say, do you like Mexican food?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay, great. So we're on the same page.
Right.
And so, but no, everybody has some way, shape, or form to look back and find something positive.
Yeah.
I mean, your bottle of water, is it half full or half empty?
Yeah. It's
some days it's, man, that's a half empty bottle of water. I better get a new one. Or, okay, I got a half a, other days I got half a bottle of water. I can make it.
Yeah.
You got to choose it. Choose which way you want to live.
Yeah, it's all about that perspective.
Yeah.
Cognitive behavioral therapy.
Oh yeah.
I learned about that recently, and just changing the way that you think about and look at a situation. That's a huge impact on your day.
Yeah. Well,
And
when you let me in the door, you
yeah,
were like, "How are you?" I'm just happy to be here.
yeah.
So, I mean,
Doesn't matter what's happened this morning. Like
it has been
here.
a Monday. It has been a Monday.
I know we probably didn't think about that when we started the day.
Or it could be a Monday, and
Yeah.
I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah.
So no, you were talking about journaling. One of the best ways I've found for me to do it is I go into the Apple reminders on my phone, and I set a current reminder every single day, and I have a notes app in my phone, and I'll write something every day, and then when that reminder goes off, I just click it, and it'll pop up the next morning.
Okay.
Because if you write it down, it has to get done. I love crossing things off my list.
For sure.
Get it off my plate.
Yeah.
I can't wait to drink the rest of that water and throw it away.
Look, and you asked, and I was like half full, but the funny thing is, if you look at it, by default, I want to look at it as half empty because I'm like, hey, after that's gone, that's 8 more ounces that are down, and then I get to start on my next 2 cups.
That's it. Because you're going after the 8, right? The
8. I'm working on drinking it, more, and room temp or cold.
Cold always, but I refuse to waste anything, so I have to drink it faster so I don't have to dump it out.
See, until I like room temp, and I think I drink it faster.
Yeah.
So look, all of that to say, I think it's super cool that you moved to Ward and you bought a house that you've not even seen.
Oh.
We talked about that.
Yes.
And look where it brought you.
know.
Now you've got a wife and 3 beautiful children.
They all deserve a medal. Every one of them.
Oh
they all deserve a medal. But no, they're wonderful. We're all learning together. Things are hard. Times are hard. I'm sure you've got a new family, and times are hard at times.
Yeah.
But they can either be hard forever, or they can be hard for a short amount of time. You got to ride the wave.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone's concerned about the stock market right now. I just buy when it's all low.
Look, I just don't even look at it.
I don't look at it either.
I'm
but
like, you know what? When the statement will come in, it's fine.
When Dustin Parsons calls me and says we need to do this, I trust him and we do it, and then I'm very happy when it's done.
Yeah.
So, but that kind of ties me into my other thing. Trust. Stay in your lane. Stay in what you specialize in. You're a marketing guru. Why? Which is why I'm here to visit with you about this stuff. But I love dabbling in stocks and all of that other stuff where I could stay in my lane and, pass that, hey, can you do this for me? We help each other out. And then we have a call once every other week to check in on things. And I'll say yes to let's do this right now, or no, let's wait, push it back another couple weeks. How many other areas in your life could you sit back on and say, you know what? Spending a lot of time on this to save $6. Whereas if I just outsource it to somebody else, let them do it, that $6 I may be saving could be better spent somewhere else. Because what is the one thing you can't buy? Time. I know how much money I need to make every year. I don't need anything else. I'm never going to turn it away if it comes. The one thing I can't figure out how to buy is time. You can't. It's not possible. You have to be grateful for the time that you have. And I say all of that to tie it back to that person that you said passed away and left behind a family. Is that sad? Absolutely. But he is probably in a place that we all aspire to be.
He absolutely is. I have no doubt.
And right, he's that ray of light that we are all looking for. Right? So, can I say the title of my second one?
I will allow it if your publisher will allow it.
They will allow whatever I give them permission to allow.
Okay.
So, the second book is titled Let There Be Light.
Really?
Oh, yeah, it's in there. It's in there. It's on page. I know. That's why we're here. So, there are dark corners everywhere. I've stared down both sides of that barrel. How do we stop it? I could put somebody down, but does that fix the problem? Teach a man to fish versus giving them a fish. If I put light everywhere, I got little night lights all over my house because
Mhm.
I'm afraid of the dark. Thank you for that. But I could choose to complain about it, or I just understand that it's less than a penny a day to have a little light.
Mhm.
And Doug is a captain in the North Rock Fire Department. And so when he has these rookies that are nervous in the middle of a fire, he says, "Show me your light. That way I can see you." How do we shine light on the world? How do we do that? That's a very broad question.
Yeah, there's so many ways.
There's a ton of ways to do that. I could say, Britt, take this book, and by the next time I see you, I want a 2-page executive summary about it. And you're gonna go, man, I can't stand homework. But if you buy a book, you're choosing to learn.
Mm-hmm.
That book is less than 100 pages because you can write something powerful and it not be extremely long. I mean, unless God or J.K. Rowling wrote it,
yeah,
I'm not reading it if it's really long because everything can be condensed.
Yeah.
Right? I like an executive summary because my time is very valuable. But with all that being said, the second book is the back half of this one. This one talks about the 7 key principles for the heart of corporate America, but it's about being human in a corporate world.
Mm-hmm.
You can catch way more flies with sugar or honey than with vinegar.
Mm-hmm.
We can all accomplish the same goals if we are all trying to figure out how to win. It's not me versus you, it's you and me versus the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It can't be. There's enough war and battle going on in this world. I'll scrub all that negativity and hate off the face of the earth, one book or speech at a time. But how you shine a light in a corner that you can't see?
That's a really good point.
If you put enough lights everywhere, eventually it'll be lit up.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't do it by myself. We can't do it by ourselves. You know what I mean? You got to multiply it. I'm not looking for followers Jesus did that for us already.
Mm-hmm.
But how do we change the trajectory of what's happening?
You can disciple to someone just as simply as smiling. You know,
Oh,
like you don't even
yes.
have to. There don't even have to be words.
No, you just say, "Hey, how are you?"
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. How are you? I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah.
If you do something long enough in a positive way, even if somebody says no, they will eventually say thank you, because it happened when I was in Lawton. The farmers guild just didn't want to do it. Didn't want to do it. And I just went in there every day and said, "How we doing?" And just smiled. And finally they were ready to talk and got the job done. Because you can choose to be negative like everybody else. You can be dark.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can be positive. Shine a light. What's that light look like? Sometimes it's a lamp. Sometimes it's a ray of sunshine. But we have the power. We do have the power to change our surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Especially if you got a spotlight.
That's it. And it's very bright light. I just looked way too long at those bulbs and I can't see half your face. So.
But, and you know what's crazy is just Wednesday night. So my husband, Paul, he leads our discipleship class on Wednesday
Wonderful
nights.
name for leading that.
And so Wednesday night, he was actually going to talk about prayer and fasting, but he's been going through these video series by Francis Chan.
Okay.
And Francis has one on James. And he was talking about this past week we were on chapter 3. So I can't remember the verse exactly, but James chapter 3 talks about being a leader, you know, and how you can put out, basically you can share that light and be a positive inspiration to people as opposed to, you know, being negative all the time.
Oh yeah.
And it's a lot of people think that the leader that's referred to is a pastor, but really, I mean, anyone can be considered a leader. I was talking to Jeff with C-Suite.
Yes, love me some Jeff.
Jeff Wilkerson.
Yep.
And I had a meeting this past week, and he said, I said, well, do you just look for people that are of the C-suite, or do they have to be, owners, vice presidents, whatever, of businesses? And he's like, well, there have been some debates about that. And really, we're leaders in our homes. We're not managing
My
anybody.
wife would not say that, but I do agree with you. She is the CEO after 4.
Yeah.
I just am happy to manage the finances.
Yeah. But, I mean, like,
but yes,
it is.
to your point, we are leaders in whatever aspect of our lives we want to be. Sometimes we take the back seat.
Yeah.
And by back seat, I mean Randall sits in the passenger seat quietly when my wife's driving. Or there's times when, I kind of tie this back to what we were talking about earlier. If it's in my wheelhouse, I'll lead it because I know what I'm talking about. My wife's an occupational therapy assistant.
Oh, okay.
And so
my grandma's a physical therapist.
Yes, a small
crazy.
world.
Uh-huh.
There's that 6 degrees. But she kind of leads. I mean, it is in her degree and in her nature. I mean, she also had told me parenting, which this isn't her quote, but parenting is the hardest job you'll ever love. That's powerful because we all hope that in raising kids, they'll come back and see us one day. I don't, but my wife does. So I say, yes, of course.
They'll be there to take care of you.
No, Randall.
When you get older,
I don't. I'll have everything set up to where they just manage the funds for someone. I would not want that for them. Just come see me at the special home.
That's true. Okay.
I wouldn't want that for them. If I do it right now, put all of those acorns aside for later in a nice little mutual fund called Dustin Parsons. They can manage the money that pays the bills. Nobody should. The retirement plan can't be your kids. You know what I mean? It can't be that. It is for some. It is for some, but you're exactly right with what you said earlier. We can all be a leader in what we want to be a leader in. I mean, I sit at the back at the C-suite meetings because I'm in the spotlight all the time. I only go up to bat when Jeff asks me to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he asks a day or two in advance, which is not a whole lot of time to put together what I've got to say, but that's what he wants, so I do it. But what aspects of life are we not being leaders in that we probably should? Different for everybody, right?
Yes, but I feel a lot of people they fall into that financial category because they don't know. And look, I know that can take us down a whole
There's 5 types
trail.
There's 5 types of wealth in this world. There's 5 types of wealth. There's financial wealth, spiritual. I don't remember the other 3. One of my buddies is Sahil Bloom. He just became a New York Times best-selling author.
Jeez,
but
you know all the writers.
I know some. I know a few. You read my first book. You are the average of the 7 people you surround yourself with in a positive light. You're also the average of the 7 people you can't stand because you think about it a lot. The second book is not about the back 7 of dark. It's about finding another 7 that I have seen, that have turned dark places into light. But you are the average of the 7 people you surround yourself with. So there's 5 different kinds of wealth. Well, I mean, what's financially wealthy to you? Don't say the number out here, please, but it's a different number than mine probably.
Yeah, and it's different for everybody.
It's different for everybody. But we could all sit back and say, and look to the future too much that we miss the present. I need to make this, I need to make this, I need to make this to be happy. And then you get there and the Joneses have something else. And you need that. I drive a Honda. I'm a big Dave Ramsey, and most successful people financially, the second most popular car is a Honda because they're reliable and they hold their value.
Okay, I have a Nissan. What's the first most popular?
I think it's a Toyota, but I don't know for 100%.
Okay.
But Nissan's on there. You're not driving a Lexus that's $180,000, and we're not here doing a podcast because you've got to have money for the Lexus that needs a new whatever it is. Love me some Lexus. Just can't afford it yet.
Yeah.
Very quiet. But we can all be, and I think one of the other forms of wealth is social wealth, right? So are we Do we go home to an empty house where no one wants to hang out with us and the dog ran away? Some people are, but that's not a wealth that they want to be extremely wealthy in. They don't need that. They like to make a lot of money. And some people prosper better by themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's 5 different kinds of wealth. I definitely encourage you to check that out.
I will. Yeah, I need to know the other 3 now.
Well, and it's in the Bible. The Bible, there's a chapter in the Bible that talks about the 5 types of wealth. So there's financial, spiritual, social, time. I think time wealth is one of them. Do you have a lot of time to do what you want? And I cannot remember the last one for whatever reason. So sorry about that. But my buddy's book is between 200 and 300 pages. And so I've got that on deck for June when it's the summertime and I can take off to read that.
Right.
But what are you not wealthy in that you'd like to be? Is it more free time? Is it more money time? Whatever it is, we should take a step back and realize if we need to be a leader in that category or outsource it to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So, I can give you an example. I just moved. My wife and I, we bought a newer house because we need a little bit. My first house in Ward, we moved to another house in Ward, was 1,270 square feet. And when we got married and 2 or 3 other humans moved in, it got a lot smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And so the yard is a wreck. The yard, and by wreck, I mean there's a lot of weeds and it's not, I'm colorblind. I can just tell the grass all isn't the same.
Okay.
And so I am just too frugal to pay Fairway Lawns or Ultra Green or somebody to come out. But I'm sitting there looking back now at, I bought the rolling cedar, bought the bag of seed that's $50.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've got to wait for the perfect time to put out the seed so that it rains. And now that I didn't do it, it takes a month or 2 to get it to work. I'm going to miss this year of green grass.
Right.
Whereas I could have just not bought those things and outsourced it to Fairway Lawns, which their office is not too far from here.
Mm-hmm.
I could have outsourced it to them, and I probably, when the letter came in the mail in March and had them started treating, and I probably would have that yard that I want now.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2026, I'm going to be calling them,
right,
asking them to treat. But that's just one example of, yes, I didn't want to spend the money, but I have already spent some money, and it still isn't done. And I'm getting ready to lose some of my time wealth.
I was going to say, what about the time?
Be doing all of this stuff. And I love the fall and the winter, personally. It's getting ready to be the spring and the summer. It's getting very hot, which means I'm in the AC. Which I love floating on the Buffalo and doing all that. We live in the best state in the country. You can go visit the other places and come back.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to the beach in August on family vacation, and it's going to be wonderful. I'm going to be frustrated about all the sand in the condo, but I can put up with it for a week to be happy and get some of that social wealth and that time off from work.
Making those memories.
That's it. That I'll never forget because I have that to live with.
Right.
And so no, it's great. We got engaged in Gulf Shores, and so we're going back there to.
Oh.
Yes. And
that's
so
cool.
Anyway, it's all good. You can tie anything and everything that is hard to a way to shine a little positive light on it. And I love that because that's what I try to do. That's what you do. I remember almost everything, and you're so positive in all those meetings, which is why I was happy to come.
Thanks.
I gotta make sure I help out with the calendar invites. You're busy, I'm busy, but ultimately, it's not about me. I should have helped put that calendar invite out. Super glad you messaged this morning because
I know it was like first thing.
Yeah, 11 was the only time I could do it. So.
And I was ready with a backup.
No.
When I realized, I was like.
I knew in that moment I could shift one thing and do this with you because I would never ask you to reschedule again.
Well, and we're not finished.
No.
So we got one more thing.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm ready.
So, a nonprofit with which you're affiliated.
Which one is that?
You tell me.
I graduated from Catholic High School for Boys. And so I donate the proceeds to this and everything to it's the Catholic High School like alumni association. They're not for profit, but they help kids that can't afford the tuition there, they help with the money from that. They help take that money and supplement that tuition. And so
I went to Mount St. Mary, and I did not know that.
Catholic High School Alumni Foundation. Miss Ann
Now,
Carter.
I wonder if MSM does that.
They probably do. I always just visit with Father Fred or Brother Richard when I go in. And so, but Ann Carter oversees that. And I mean, they help to, teachers are not paid what they should be, especially in Arkansas. In other states, they get paid a lot more. But that alumni association can help supplement some of those teachers' salaries because, you went to Mount. I mean, Catholic High takes boys and turns them into men. And so super thankful I went to school there. And
how did you do with no air conditioning?
I was one of the last ones to graduate. So they have it now in the whole school.
Right.
But I was one of the last ones to graduate without that. And I grew up working outside the whole time. I did fine for the most part. I mean, you're taking a test and your paper's sticking to your arm because you're sweating, but it makes you appreciate the little things.
Absolutely.
But I remember being in college and my roommate going, "Oh my gosh, the AC broke. It's super hot in here." And I was going, "It's not that bad." And I said, "I can help pay." He said, "No." He said, "I broke the cord with the weed eater. I'll pay for it." It was going to get fixed in a day or two, but it was like 87 degrees in the house. But at Catholic High on the second floor, it was 110 when the heat rose. So I'm just grateful, happy to be here.
Yeah.
And so, no, that's one that I'm affiliated with. And when the second book comes out, that other one that we talked about before, you don't want to, there's a little surprise in there. So I don't want to boast about that too much. But awesome. I want to share one quote with you before, unless you have anything else. It's from 1 Corinthians.
No, we covered the 3 topics that I always cover, and
perfect.
Learned a little bit more about you, and I think we've got like 3 degrees of separation now.
Yeah.
In this big city of Arkansas.
Yes. Oh, we could probably have all 6 degrees if we talked longer.
Oh my gosh.
But so this is 1 Corinthians chapter 1, 30 to 31.
Okay.
And it's if you want to boast only about the Lord. And so there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. And sometimes people can confuse passion for aggression. You know what I mean? I get into these things. And so thank you for the calm room, because it helped keep me level. But I move with my hands. Well, you've seen me speak before. I move around the room, and people have chuckled when I've spoken, and I'm not kidding about things. So this was great.
Well, it was great speaking with you.
Oh my gosh!
And getting to
I got to give
learn
this
more
to
about you.
Whoever you see out in the world that can use a little lift, just give this to them.
I appreciate it.
Because I gave that to somebody at work who quit and left it in a drawer. So that's okay. But she read almost all of it. She didn't scribble in it, I don't think. But it's $14.99 on Amazon, way too much. My wife's basketball number was 13, so I asked for it to be $13, and they raised it. I don't know if that's good or bad. But if you'll give that to somebody and tell them it's going to be okay.
So people change. People can change. It's not about me. 7 Key Principles for the Heart of Corporate America by Randall Haug.
Haug. That's it.
Got it.
All right.
All right. Well, see, what if making it about you really meant making it about everyone else? So my challenge for you today is to go out, spot some light, share some light, and just really change that perspective on your day, because we are very lucky to be sitting here and hopefully sharing some moments of inspiration and hope for you. So whatever time of day it is for you that you're listening to this podcast, I hope that it's blessed, and catch you next time on Spotlight with Britt.